My basic point, which I like because I'm we should give more emphasis on digital part also. Like in this pandemic, we are so digital friendly. Everybody is using technology. We are doing this process on digital platform. So one more highlight for me, we focus on computers. If you see the syllabus of CBSE as comparison to ICSE, then till class 10 we are least bother, we are least focus on programming section. So like this NEP, latest NEP said कि from class 6 onwards we can start the coding process. So I really looking forward for this also, and I'm very much excited about it also. कि how we can manage the things and how we can implement it on the basis of different things. Apart from this, which I like about, which I want to discuss on this particular process, which is entry and exit, which it is not possible for a school student. But I am expecting some more highlights on this point also, or maybe it will vary according to the person to person and student to student also. Ki how we can combine the subjects, like we have a flexibility in 11th, we can combine the science subject with humanities, and how we can go for it, how we can just more focus on these things. So everything is very challenging also and very excited also. So we can see this thing also, how we will manage these process in a proper way, so it can really benefit for the students also. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. I think pandemic has already proven that educators cannot be stopped by any challenge. So we are always ready to take on the challenges as far as the education of our children is concerned. So we are hopeful that we'll be able to overcome all the challenges and bring, make this policy a success. Thank you, sir, for your very insightful thoughts. I now request Dr. Preeti Rishi ma'am to kindly share her thoughts with us.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I'm audible, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
I lost connection in between, so I'm sorry for that. And like I was hearing the previous speakers' points, this point of having the practical knowledge, I also relate to it a lot because being in the higher education sector, we get students who are after plus 2 who are joining us, and some of them after 10th they have done a diploma, and after that as a lateral entry they are joining us in the second year of the engineering courses, since I teach engineering students. So generally what we find is some students, they have scored very good marks in the 10 plus 2 or 10th classes, like really they have scored very good marks, but they fail to cope up when they are studying the engineering subjects. So since we have lot of mathematics involved in this, we find that lot of times students who have got very good score in board exam, they are not able to derive the things or do problems based on engineering. So that is all related to the rote learning that we are talking about. So since there are a fixed set of problems, something related to that they are getting and they are mugging up. And I'm not saying this for everybody, talking about some specific cases like we have seen. So these students, after coming to higher education like engineering or some other things, they really get very depressed because they are used to being number one in their schools and their earlier educational institutions. So if somehow collectively as a country, we are as educators, we are able to get rid of this rote learning concept, I think it will be the biggest achievement of the national education policy. And like sir was talking about asking the appropriate questions. So we have also done, like we can say, we have worked on this during the pandemic, because conducting online exams for engineering students in the pandemic time, it was a challenge for us, because nowadays anything that we ask, it is there in the Google. So it is very easy to uh, copy from there and write. So we had to spend a lot of time on setting appropriate questions which they can't Google and answer them later. So the way we are framing questions, it needs more time and uh, contribution from side of the teacher. So that is why when we are saying about the challenges for the education policy, appropriate teachers who are appropriately trained in their domain, that is a very big thing on which the success of this entire thing will depend. So just quickly I will go through some challenges that I feel that will be there in implementing the policy. Definitely we are all very positive towards this. We are really looking forward that all these things will serve our students and they will have advantages. But it is always good to look at the other side also. So challenges in implementing the policy, what I feel is, first will be related to the curriculum and content. So since we are moving to an entirely new system, NEP focuses on reducing the curriculum content to make space for critical thinking and in turn develop individuals with the entirely new skills. So, hence, all aspects of the curriculum and pedagogy need to be restructured to attain these goals. So, how far we are able to achieve this restructuring and proper curriculum, the success of our new policy will depend on that. So, challenge in successfully implementing these changes include modifying the curriculum in accordance with the national curriculum framework. Also, educators need to rethink the learning content rubric and modify the textbooks accordingly. So, this is the first challenge. The second challenge I have identified is the teacher availability and training. The policy envisages the redesign of the school curriculum. However, in order to deliver the curriculum effectively, schools and concerned authorities, they need to train teachers and understand the pedagogical needs to make a smooth transition to the new system. Furthermore, they need to shift the focus from teacher-centered learning to student-centered learning. So, this teacher availability and training of the new teachers, so that we can do everything in we can do a lot of things on the digital side. So all that needs this training, proper training to the teachers. And also, like earlier Baman ma'am had told about the teacher remuneration. So to get that quality of teachers to attract the best talent, we also need to provide the appropriate remuneration to them. And the next challenges for the technology. NEP 2020 lays emphasis on leveraging the advantage of technology in making the youth future ready, but developing digital infrastructure such as digital classrooms, remote expertise driven teaching models, and audio video tools to bridge the gaps in physical teaching and laboratory infrastructure is a great challenge, because the majority of schools don't have proper setup to support these tools. Also, the cost associated with building digital infrastructure might not be affordable for all the schools across the country. And having a robust internet connectivity throughout the country for each and every school, that will also be a challenge. So, regarding this, I can share my own experiences that we have to conduct labs in each and every semester of our engineering, and those labs form an important part of the curriculum. So when we were like in this pandemic situation, we were caught unaware. So we had to focus on the software side. Like I converted my labs on programming side. Whatever the technique is there, our students made programs for that, and we executed those programs. So instead of the physical laboratory, we had to switch on the software side. So since we had no other options ready, So this technology side we need to strengthen properly. And examination structure, this is another challenge. The NAP focuses on formative assessment for learning rather than the summative assessment. The primary purpose of changing assessment system is to promote continuous tracking of the learning outcomes. However, continuous assessment requires schools and teachers to use innovative evaluation approaches and assignments. These approaches demand technological intervention and active involvement of teachers and students. So, this is another challenge that we need to overcome so that we can execute all the things which are there in our policy. So, quickly I will wind up. So, there has been lot of criticism also regarding the NEP, that some uh, some parties, they feel that they were not properly consulted before framing all this, and there some parties feel that this policy fails to be inclusive of the bottommost strata of society and provides little or no relief to the poor and other minorities. And it is also said that there is no clear commitment that can hold the government accountable. uh, and there has been, as we have been observing, there has been some considerable resistance to the three language formula also. So we hope that the new education policy, it is able to overcome all this criticism, and it is able to achieve what all it is proposing to achieve. So the way forward, we are looking at the way forward, and we can also consider linking the right to education of goal of to the universalization of education at the pre-primary, middle, and the secondary level. So it must be a collaborative strategy with states over the three language formula, as education is a concurrent subject, and it must make specific time bound and measurable commitments linked with the accountability about funding and expenditure with regard to the grand vision of this policy document. And it has to keep children and parents at the center of the implementation plans and provide choices which are also there in letter as well as in spirit. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Um, Very remarkably, you have pointed out the key points and also the challenges which are associated with the policy. And this is very right that in some of the progressive institutions with leaders who have futuristic vision, there are many points which are already going on. They have already been implemented. If we talk about the experiential learning, we talk about the technological innovations being used, skill education, various circles and clubs, they are already in existence. Like in pandemic times also, we saw that there were institutions which, quickly they switched over to the digital mode. But for there were some other institutions who took months to actually catch up. So actually, the major challenge will be to bring parity, to standardize the process. Thank you, ma'am, for pointing out these challenges which are associated. I now request Mr. Sunil Dangi. So please let us know about your solution. We are very excited to know because as educationists, Deep Khare sir also pointed out, we always tell our teachers to list the learning outcomes and then plan the pedagogy or plan the lesson. And when you're talking about life, I am sure that there also it is very important for us to know what is the outcome we have all planned for us so that we can move in that direction. Over to you.
Thank you, Akil ma'am. Good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to request you all that please listen it carefully because this is in a beta version, and here I am here to learn a lot from you people. So I'd request please give your comments at the end when the closing session so that we can improve our product. Uh, Amrita ma'am was I have heard of one word from all the people. That's a technology. Everybody was said repeated this word at least twice or thrice in their conversation, and Amrita ma'am was focusing on the local language, which is very important because in India only 10% of the people understand English, and just the 10% people. As far as the parents are concerned, it's very important thing also to communicate. Communication should also in the local languages, And it's very important to understand child psychology. Sarika ma'am was talking about a lot of about the technology. Khare sir was Khare sir, you are lucky one that you are in a career which you are liking. You are one of the lucky people. Otherwise most of the people do not like what they are doing currently, right? So and Mr. Nitin was also talking about the technology, and Preeti ma'am was also focusing on the similar kind of thing. So my I would like to share my screen and then I'll move on. That's what Rakhi, can you see my screen?
Yes, sir, we can see your screen now.
Thank you. So this is the name of the organization, which is we have thought about a lot on this. There's a eMango, that's education management on the go. We are creating a tool which will help for the education management actually. So which will help the student to choose the right career and then move on the right education for that. And all the academic records which he can save it over here, all these things which I talked about, holistic and internship and lots of things. So where all these things will go? So basic thing started with, we are trying to solve a problem that is that there is a problem of conventional ways of choosing a career, and admission planning has lot of problem with it. So and I'll just give our definition of conventional ways of choosing a career. Generally a child choose a career, a stream or a college under the influence of the parents, peers, society, family, teachers. But the question is, are these people aware of all the career options exist, or do they understand the importance of aptitude, personality, and interest while choosing a career? Do they even know the path to reach at the epitome of a particular career? The basic question is, the people under the guidance of whom a child is choosing the career, are they qualified to do those or not? So and answer is no. Because if I'll ask you are educationist, but I don't think that we will be knowing more than 10 careers, right? Because knowing about a career means what do you do in that career to move on that career path, what courses are required, which are the colleges which are offering those courses, what is the fees for that college, and then what are the job prospect in that particular career, what are the salaries. This is the thing which when you can say that I know about a career. Now by choosing a career in a conventional way, what can it leads to? It could lead to dropout. Either you move on a path, and if that doesn't suit your aptitude, personality, interest, you'll drop out from there. Even after forcing yourself, you just complete your degree, then as you studied something which which doesn't match your API, that's aptitude, personality, interest, then there are very high chances that you will become an unemployable degree holder. And all that leads to, either during the studies or later on in the life, that you will always remain restless, and in a rare or extreme circumstances it could even lead to the suicide. And these are not just our assumptions, we have the numbers for it. This is Hindu's news, which says that in last 2 years, around 2,500 students dropped out after taking admission into IITs. So this is a dropout thing which is happening. 94% of engineering graduates are not fit for job. In India, one student suicide in per 1.5 hour. So the situation is that critical. So, and I'm not saying that only the wrong career choice is responsible for it, but the most important reason for this is the wrong career choice. That's how it is happening. Now the question is, what is the solution to the problem? As I started with, that the people those are guiding the child, they are not aware of the career, neither the child aware of, nor the people those are guiding. So there should be a platform where a child can explore, or a parents can explore, or a teacher can explore. So and that exploration platform should be that easy, that it should be that interesting, a child should like to spend time on that. It should not be a text based kind of thing. It should be some animated video, audio, visual, and it should be a multilingual, so that even the parents can understand that what my child will be doing as a career in that particular one. Now, after exploring the careers, what is the best fit for me? What is the best fit for a particular child? Because every individual is different. So for that, there are scientific ways of finding out the aptitude of the child. That's numerical, verbal, and the logical aptitude, etc. And then the personality of the child and the interest. So after having this psychometric assessment, one can map it to the right career. And the psychometric assessment should also must not be the boring one, because otherwise a child will not be taking that psychometric assessment even as seriously. So what we are doing is we are converting this psychometric assessment in a gamified version. And this is happening first time in the world, that a psychometric assessment has been converted into the game for as far as the career counseling is concerned. And a child will be playing a game, and output of that will be a career, that this is the best fit career for you, because output of that will be a personality, interest, and aptitude, and that will be mapped to the career. After finding the right career, how to move on the path, what is the optimal path for that particular career, what are the colleges, what are the courses, how to apply for that, and all those things. And this is the and just simply explore, find best fit, and move on the path. Now, that's as I explained, our unique thing. Even our report of a psychometric assessment will not be a lengthy 12-page, 15-page report written in English with a few graphs. We are converting this report also in an audio-visual format and a multilingual, so that the parents can understand. For example, if their report is saying to Ada Munda extrovert hai, it will be very easy for the parents to understand what all this is being said. So we are creating a lot of is career exploration made easy through audiovisual. Psychometric assessment has been made easy using the gamified version, and the reports also have been made, and all this possible because of technology. And and it is almost like a DIY kind of platform. We are working with IIT Delhi for because it's a IIT Delhi psychology department is working with us on this, how to convert a psychometric assessment into the gamified version from the career counseling point of view. So, and as far as the ease is also required for the schools, that how the school will get it. Say, for example, this is one of the school which has got it, the Doon school. So it's that easy. They can put some link on their website, and we just need the number of the website developer, nothing else from the school. So it is that easy. A child can go and start exploring a career. There is a dashboard. There is, he can explore the career, then he can find out the best fit, and he can keep on making his or her own wish list. This is a wish list of the child, where he can choose the after exploring the career, he can put the career into this wish list, and this is very easy. Here we are capturing all the things which are required by NEP also. In the education, this is a basic information, education of the child, and like what are his current class, what is previous exams, and all these previous class marks, and we'll converting all these marks in a graphical format. So it will be easier for a larger period, it will be easier to see that what is the numerical aptitude of this child is as far the academic is concerned. Other things, like a child is doing the internship, etc., he has appeared for NTSC or NS. So this is like, this is something, this is also in a it's in a, it is like a, as I said, it's a education management on the go. You have all the information on a single platform, so a child can put all his information, then he can explore the careers. And the information has been put in a very it has been dramatized, so that the child, it will is very engaging, so that child can feel that I am doing something. So, and with that, the information for the parents is also available. What will the salary in that particular career, what are the job prospects, this 2017-18, these are the jobs, what are the salary in that particular profession, and every information is available. And a child can just click on it, and it will be shortlisted and added into his cart. There's a, in his cart, this career has come. Similarly, he can go and explore uh, the best fit career, what the best fit for him. This is generally a question asked from a child, aap kya banna chahte ho? But nobody gives him a solution that you can become that. A child will start playing a game, it is nothing but a psychometric assessment which a child will be playing, and the output will be a nothing but a just the career, the what the best fit career for that particular child. Similarly, he can go for the colleges, he can explore the colleges. Basically, we are working like a bridge between a school and a college. And starting from class 9th onward, he can start exploring the career. This is the college, he can shortlist this college. so that he need not to forget any exam dates. He need not remember any exam date or anything. So most important part is this: find the best fit for you, which can be done through the psychometric assessment. So that's the ease which we are creating actually, and we are using a lot of AI into that. A child's academic record will suggest a career as per the child's academic records and is already suggested careers, or as per his aptitude, personality, and interest. So, and a child himself can do everything. He can try to make his own cart and everything. So that's what the solution which we are offering, and which is very very important. And as far as because now choosing a career will become more difficult, because there are options are available after class 10 that they can choose the subjects instead of choosing the stream. So such kind of technological platform are very much required at this time. With that, I would rest my presentation, and thank you for hearing me out, and I would like to hear your comments on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Danki, and I must congratulate you and your team because you're making efforts towards addressing the most dreaded, I think, challenge which a child and the parents they both they fear this, that they should not leave any good option which might be available. That is, I believe, what all parents dread, that it should not happen that we are too late for an application, or there are some career options which are available but we are not aware of.
Yeah.
So I must congratulate you and wish you good luck for this
Thank you, ma'am.
application.
Thank you.
I now request Mr. Jitin Chako to share his thoughts, because as we all know, before children they talk, they sing. Before they write, they draw. And as soon as they stand, they dance. So art is very fundamental to human expression. And even Picasso said, every person is born an artist. The problem is to stay one. So, Mr. Chaco, if you could let us know how you're working towards making sure that our children remain artists even when they grow.
Thank you so much for this, and good afternoon once again, everyone, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak about this, ambitious forthcoming national education policy, 2021. As we all know, just a small questions to everyone: what is the main purpose? What is not main purpose, but then what is the purpose of education in any country? What would be the purpose of an education in any country? So any panelist from here, feel free to answer. You can definitely unmute yourself and answer, or else I'll move forward by yeah, any answers from the panelists here. Okay.
To make sure that the children they grow up, they're able to fend for themselves, they're able to survive and thrive, maybe, and they're happy.
Definitely, yes. Partially there.
Sir, may I?
Yes, please.
Uh, the main purpose of the education to build good citizen which can serve country when they grow up.
Absolutely, yes, definitely you're there. But there is something towards the government. What they want. When the students learn, they educate themselves. Then I think the main goal or main purpose of every country. The true purpose of education to have economic growth. That is a true across all the countries. Once a child is grown, once a child is learning something, definitely they can, as Rakhi said, they can fetch for themselves, they can earn for themselves. So once that happens, the overall GDP or the economy of the country itself, it grows. So that is what the main purpose of an economy of education is. So, and we also know, what is the journey so far, from the NEP journey so far, from 1968 till 2016. Our education system has come a long way since that. That the first education policy raised in 1968. Each edition has helped shape our country, and we see that each edition has positively impacted the system. And also each had their highlights. Like in 1986, NEP focused on adult education and empowering minorities. In 1992, NEP added a common entrance examination. In 2005, there was common minimum program, and then in 2016 addressed gender discrimination and common curriculum for science, math, and English. So NEP also mainly looks towards the vocational training, and this was there. And the vocational training, we can see it in the foreign countries like Switzerland. Switzerland has their own vocational training So it was like, hands-on experience to all the kids, and hands-on experience to whatever they do. And as was I was listening uh, to sir here, like, Dr. Khare, that, if you are not, what do you say, if you're not interested in what you're doing, if you won't love what you do. So as he was explaining himself, how he loves physics, how he loves teaching physics. When he teaches physics, he is just into it. So, as and also, we were listening, if you don't take up something, even Mr. Dangi had said that, if you don't develop yourself, you don't know what your goal is. So before, I myself know, when I was learning in the schooling, music was not, or arts was not that given that prominent focus towards, you can do arts, because at that point of time arts was just an hobby. And to be honest enough, till now it is in India, like arts or music is just an hobby or just a passion, to be chosen or to be given, not like a profession to be taken. Parents are not towards inclined towards. But right now, this NEP, which has changed some, got into an holistic development of the students, that, even arts and music, and, go hand in hand with regards to teaching and with regards to learning. So here I would like to tell that, in FSM, in Potato School of Music also, we have curated all the programs, like, it goes hand in hand. We have our own platform that is called FSM Buddy, wherein we have music as well, with regards to the music and arts related, and also with regards to the academics, because music also has math in it, music also has science in it, wherein you can relate both the things together, wherein it is easier for a student to understand, and for them to learn. I would like to present my screen in what exactly at Fatado School of Music we do, and, how does it help all the student, how does it help for this NEP? Because before this NEP itself, like, we had this in our mind, that we curated this, a lot of this program of, of Fataros. There are the music programs which we have curated for the students, to grow them, to grow mentally, because we know that the right side of our brain, there are two hemisphere of our brain, wherein one side is mainly towards problem solving, and the other things, and wherein the right side is towards, sorry, the arts, and music and everything, and the left side towards is, like, to your assessments and problem solving um, activities. I believe my screen has been visible. Yes. So we at FSM, FSM is a 150-year-old rich legacy, as uh, Rajul had already mentioned about. So we have been transforming the lives of our children, of the children, through music. So we have almost around 145 plus schools and 15 plus centers, and, 75,000 plus children who's affiliated, who's in FSM, who's learning with Fataro School of Music. And also we have partnership with these many schools and lot more, as teaching them music, developing their left and right brain. Because while you do music, what happens is, like, both your brains, both the hemisphere of the brains work simultaneously, because it has to, you're playing something, your mind works, you have to listen to it, you need to read the notations, you need to read the music, you need to play the music, and you need to understand whether it is right or wrong. So, music plays a very, very vital role in each and every individual's life. And as Raki ma'am rightly said, when the child even start, when he takes birth, there is music in him. He starts singing. Even, even in our body itself, there is music, because our heart, it has a beat, and it beats in a proportion. It does not, it is always steady. The same way music also has a beat, music has beats, and that is always steady. The way, how our heart beats steady, the music also goes in a very steady manner. It does not go unsteady. So what do we have, for the students who work with not work, but who gets the train with us? Like, we have established properties like Bandit Festival. It's a uh, nationwide festival, wherein we call for the students the band student, the students who performs well, they create their own band, or they can come up individually if they are very good at uh, any instrument, for that matter, vocals, or in any instrument they can come, they can show their performance to each and every one. And this is the Bandit Festival, which happens nationwide, wherein all the entries from across the country comes up, and their auditions happen, and then it is kind of a competition, which a fight which happens on the stage with regards to music. And we have Cadence, that is an annual day performance of Fatado School of Music, of the students who learns with FSM in the center, that how they perform in front of everyone, what are they learned throughout the year. And also we have our curated events like Bandit, piano concert, Beat It, Cadence, workshop, high jump training, FSM exams, and in-center recital, and FSM recital as well. And as this pandemic has come up, we have also gone to it. All these were like one-on-one, but now we have completely come on to the digital platform, wherein we also have mental wellness workshop, with leading corporates like SDFC and HSBC. And also we have webinars with reputed artists like Darshan Doshi, Reggie, Abhishek, and more renowned people from.
Jitin, I would request if you can quickly, we have.
Definitely, yes. I am almost done with my presentation though. So we are on our social media platform as well, and also we've been come uh, uh, onto the news as well about what the FSM is, and FSM has also awarded 6 out of 7 star across the various parameters for high for Edu Resource Star rating 2020. And we have the online news as well, and the awards and recognition which are here. And also we are being partnered with NMIMS, the School of Performing Arts, and then Berkeley, wherein Berkeley is one of the leading colleges in London, wherein it teaches music, wherein it was there in the times wherein we could not take music as a career or learn music or do something in music. But now we have a college which you can take up a degree and pursue your career into music and arts. And also we have workshops, and we have in-school program as well. So would like to conclude here is that music and arts go very well hand in hand, also education go hand in hand. And we at FSM definitely helps you to and aids you to develop your child, your students, to come up with develop their mind, and be a better personal, and take up that opportunity what they like, and also to love what they do. And because music and arts has come up with a lot of opportunities, and it has opened the door of, and the new NEP has definitely opened the door of everyone to what they have to do in life, and take arts and music also as a career. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chakko. I would now request Mr. Rajul to share with us the questions that our participants have sent.
Right. Thank you, Rakhi ma'am. I again, thank all the key speakers, for participating and making this session truly special. I thank Amrita Burman ma'am, Sarika ma'am, Deep Khare ji, Nitin Tiwari ji, Dr. Preeti Rishi, Sunil Dangi ji, and Jitin Chako for participating and making this session truly special. We have received few questions, so we'll take 15 more minutes for the questions in the concluding part before we wind up the session. So I would request all our speakers, please allow me. In fact, before I start presenting questions, I'll just take a minute in explaining what exactly we are doing at School Lalaji Solutions. So I'll take a minute in that, and then immediately after that, we'll start sharing questions. So I'll share my screen here for a minute. Some of you are already aware that we are India's largest organized vendor supplier management company with educational institutions. School Lalaji has its presence in 42 cities. We are closely associated with somewhere around 4,500 institutions. We work as a one-stop solution provider for educational institutions. We help educational institutions in different ways. We help them in primarily 3 ways. We help them in buying right thing from right people at right price. We also help institutions in finding out right vendors, or also in the negotiation process. why there is a need for a platform like School Lalaji Solutions. In last 10, 12 years, we have seen huge development in terms of school infrastructure. But how do we procure things? How do we, how do we finalize vendors and, I would say the partners? How do we do that? That largely has remained same for last 10, 15 years. So here we come in as a partner. We understand your school. We understand, your requirement, your taste. And then we you with the right people after doing negotiation with them, and we take the guarantee that we'll save at least 5% of your your annual expenditure. And in 2019 alone, we saved somewhere around 2 crore 40 lakh rupees for different schools in bus insurance only. So that is how, like, what we are doing at School Lalaji Solutions. Unfortunately, my presentation did not work here, so I'll straight away come to the question part. So I would request Amrita Burman ma'am, if I can present. So the first question, just the first question to you, Amrita Burman ma'am, if I may present the first question to you.
Yes, yes, please, please.
Right, right. So, ma'am, in fact, this has been a very regular question to our sessions. Many participants have raised this question. So this three language confusion. So this question, I have in fact merged many questions which were on the similar lines. What challenges you feel while implementing this three language formula during the NEP implementation? Amrita Burman ma'am.
See, actually, come to think of it, most of the schools have been following, and this three language policy is nothing new. It has been a part of the constitution for years together. We've all been doing it. So the challenges are also nothing really major, except a challenge that we face even today. One is the importance that we give to the local language, or the Indian native language that they are talking about, which they expect us to be doing from the middle school. So, which could be either, mainly Sanskrit is what they're really emphasizing on, and they're talking about Sanskrit also being changed to a more standardized, more modern Sanskrit language, which can be more easily used by children. So, the challenge is nothing much except for teacher availability in teaching the local language. Besides that, also good material to teach, because there are a lot of times when the besides the fact that it's something, the language is there, but is there e-material, e-content? Is there enough of interesting things in which you can teach or present? For example, when on when we are doing it during the pandemic, we are using so many different materials. There's so much of resource available all over that it becomes so much easier to catch the interest of the child. Now, in the local language or in different languages, at times the content is not enough. Besides that, it's the training of the teachers to teach language. Otherwise, also, even generally, language teaching becomes a big challenge, because children come from all different backgrounds. So, for example, I think one of the biggest challenges that I see is that in case you are in a particular area where the local language is something, but you have been transferred from another area here, you don't really belong here. So, as a student, is it going to be local language here, which I study for maybe 2 3 years, then I go to another place and I study another local language? So how are the schools presenting the three language policy to their children is another big challenge. So I think it's availability of teacher training, content, and how is it going to be implemented so that every child manages to learn the language for some time, so that he actually accepts and internalizes the language before he probably moves on to another language. I see only that as a challenge, but it's a very interesting concept to have different languages being taught in a school.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Amrita ma'am. With this, I would request Sarika ma'am, if I may present this question to you. This has come from Miss Jyoti Vasist. She's a PGT with the Man School, Delhi. Jyoti ji has asked how NEP will do justice with these students having high IQ and the students which are having low IQ. So, Sarika Arora, ma'am, I believe we have lost the connection with Sarika, ma'am. Khare sir, if I may present this question to you, do you find any kind of differentiation which NEP is doing for low IQ and high IQ students?
For high IQ, they have really have planned something as such, not very specific in detail, what I personally feel. But yes, they are looking forward to have possibilities that the high IQ children are being given extra possibilities. As far as the low IQ people are concerned, the education has not changed. I always have been saying that little extra effort will make the difference of IQ becoming almost nil. What has happened, don't mind, the IQ in this country means his marks scored in a given subject, which are mostly road-based questions. So I'm not very big fan of this, fancy word of IQ and all that, because I have been checking out and learning that the children perform very well if you ask the right question, and it is nothing to do with much of the IQ. That's very true. But yes, interests are different. There is the basic difference as such. Is what my take on it as of now. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. I would request Nitin sir, if I may present this question to you. Nitin sir, do we have your presence here?
He is not available, I think.
Okay. So I'll treat this as the last question. Yeah, Nitin,
yes,
Nitin
I'm
yeah.
available.
Yeah,
Yes,
Nitin,
Nitin, yeah. Nitin ji, question has come from the Ramjas school. Subhashini Prabhakar ji has asked this question. She's a coordinator, the primary coordinator with the Ramjas school, Delhi. She wants to know if primary teachers have to upgrade themselves to teach pre-primary students. If I try to rephrase that question, what changes you expect from primary teachers implement this policy? Nitin Tiwari ji.
Yes. See, according to me, as we all seen in this policy, first thing more from pre-primary level also, and we can understand the importance of these kind of level which we are looking for. Answer which to this is on the it is to manage these students in that age, and we discussed a lot of things, and of course training is one of the important tool for all the teachers to handle, to cater these kind of students.
Right. Absolutely. Training would be the key. Yeah.
More practically or written part and different things also.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Nitinji. In fact, this has been a key learning. During our last 81 sessions, almost everyone has said that training, would be a key. Training for teachers, and a lot of people have given the example of CCE, that it got failed due to the poor implementation and the lack of training which was provided to teachers. So many educators also believe that. Right. So with this, I thank you all. We need to end the question part here, because, due to the limitation of time. So with this, we come to the last part of this session, which is the concluding, part. I would request all our speakers, if we can have a quick concluding remarks from all of you. Also, we have established one practice. If you can share one idea, one suggestion, which you would like to implement if you become a minister of education of our country, let's say even for a day. So what would be that idea, that innovative thought which you would like to implement? So I'll request Sunil Dangi ji, if we may begin with you, your concluding remark and your idea as Minister of Education, Mr. Sunil Dangi.
This is I would like the aim of the life is to be happy.
right? And there should be a happiness index which should keep on increasing. And the purpose of education is also that. So there should be the career or the life should be chosen in such a way that which suits, as the Khare sir was discussing, that he is enjoying his life being a physics lecturer. So one should choose through, while he or she study only those things which which will keep him or her happy throughout the life. So more emphasis should be given to the career choice instead of just keep on making him teaching and blah blah blah, even if he is not going to use later on his life. So that must be, I would have emphasized on that particular thing. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Nitinji. Uh, uh, Dr. Preeti Rishi, if I may come to you for your concluding remark, and what would be your idea as a Minister of Education, Dr. Rishi?
Yes, sir. Sir, I will conclude by saying that definitely there is a lot of potential in the education policy, and we hope that our coming generations will be able to get maximum benefit. So the key lies with the implementation, that it should be implemented in a phased and accountable manner, so that it should not be extended so that another 10-15 years go like this also. And another thing is that uh, this new initiative of giving the practical training or internship, I think that that appeals the most to me, because later on in their career, the practically hands-on work, what they are able to do at that workplace, that is what matters more than the degrees they have. And the suggestion that you are asking as an education minister, that I will like to suggest that we can make our education system more on that application based learning, not the book based learning. That's
Absolutely right. Thank you. And many people believe that this NEP has a potential to take us from that rote learning, education system to the, that practical education system or experiential learning based education system. So with this, I would request Nitin Tiwari ji, Nitin sir, your concluding remark and your idea as Minister of Education. Nitin ji. I believe Nitinji has also lost the connection. I would request Deep Khare sir, Deep sir, if I may ask you your concluding remark and your idea as Minister of Education. Sir, you are on mute, Deep sir.
Thank you, sir, and wonderful session. I heard so many new things, learned all that. I have been believing, and I still firmly believe, that education is for life. It's not temporary for exams. Let us do that way. And as a minister, I haven't thought like that, but yes, to make it very responsible process and reasonably useful education, if can be done, a lot will change.
Wonderful. That cannot be changed. Thank you, Deep Khare sir. With this, I would request, before I go to Rakhi Verma ma'am to conclude the session, I would request Amrita ma'am, if I may ask you your concluding remark and what would be your that idea which you would like to implement as Minister of Education. I believe we have also lost the connection with Amrita Barman ma'am. Rakhi ma'am, over to you. Please conclude the session with your remarks. Rakhi ma'am. Also, what would be your idea which you would like to implement as Minister of Education? Rakhi ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, Rajul. As a Ministry of Education, I would say, there's a lot of intervention that is going on with the private schools who are already doing a lot for the children. But I believe somewhere the government schools have been left behind, whereas the government is spending a lot. When we had these EWS children coming to the private schools, a survey and RTIs were filed, and it was found out that for every child studying in a government school, the government is spending around 4,000 rupees per month. So I think which is an amount which is enough to provide good quality education. So somewhere we're lacking in monitoring and hand holding, which should be provided. The salaries that government is paying to the government teachers, that is, I believe, at par with any elite private schools would be paying. So somewhere we need to have that kind of parity in terms of the infrastructure. In the policy is there. We're talking about skill education. We're talking about a lot of things. But do we have that kind of infrastructure in the government schools to bring that kind of standard and to bring that parity? So I believe in the field of education, we need to work a lot in bringing standardization. When we are talking even about private schools, even there we don't have parity. There would be some schools who are doing excellent in all the fields, be it the sports education, be it skill, be it life skills, academics, art integration. They're doing in all fields, they are doing excellent work, whereas others would be doing it only for the sake of CBSE inspections, and that is just a facade that is there. So I believe somewhere we are lacking in the monitoring that should be there. Uh, and the training there also, they need to understand the essence. We've all been talking about the implementation, and we've been talking about the training of teachers. But somewhere we need to have the training of the management and the vision, the ones who are framing the vision for that institution also. They should understand the essence behind all these policies. So I believe a lot of work has to be done in that direction. And I would
Right,
like to
absolutely.
thank
And
all our
before
speakers.
that, I would I just miss Jitin Chako. And how could we
Yeah,
miss idea
even I
from
was
Jitin
about to
Chako?
say he was waiting to be the Minister of
Right,
Education for a day.
right.
Yes,
Jitin,
Mr. Chako.
absolutely.
Okay, thank you for this. And so, if I would have been an education minister, it is just that it's just that not burden all the students with all as Mr. Nangi said, just burden with them what the bookish knowledge is. Just like we need to develop them as a better individual, so that they would be a better an asset to the country, so that our country become a better place and a developed country and a superpower in the nearer future. Because education is what has the power. Knowledge is power all the time. So it's just not that the bookish knowledge what we have to give. We need to give them the life skills as well. What every individual needs to live their life and to how to develop them in the nearer future. And also, this NEP definitely has that all points together, that how a child can develop him or herself to become a better better personality, and how they can be a better asset to the country. And thank you so much for this opportunity. And I would just like to conclude this the concluding statement with a small video. Allow me to share my screen. It is just
We are running very late.
thank you so much.
Jitin.
Thank you so much.
Right. So now over to you, Rakhi ma'am.
Yeah, thank you so much. I extend my heartfelt thanks to all the speakers who joined us today. It was highly enriching listening to your thoughts, your research about NEP, and we're all very hopeful that we're actually, headed towards complete transformation of education. So I thank Madam Amrita Burman, Madam Sarika Arora, Dr. Deep Khare sir, Mr. Nitin Tiwari, Dr. Preeti Rishi, Mr. Sunil Dangi, Mr. Jitin Chako. Thank you so much for attending the session today and sharing your thoughts. And I also thank all the participants who joined us for the session today. And we look forward to many sessions where we can have you again and we're able to hear your insights. Thank you so much. Have a great day ahead, all of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much and all the very best. Take care. It was nice to be here. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you
everyone.
so much.